kick today in the butt. Don't worry about tomorrow. We just try to work on it all and be ready to go whenever my name's called again.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate, and currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free. So make sure that you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Well, normally I would say happy Friday, but the Red Sox just got swept at the hands of the New York Yankees, so that's not ideal. At home, no less. And this is a team that is just becoming unbearable to watch until something drastically changes. And on today's show, I'm going to be diving a little bit into that sweep, as well as previewing this upcoming weekend series against the Baltimore Orioles. But if there's anything positive to take away from this series against the Yankees, it's that the Red Sox definitely have a special talent in Payton Tolle. This is a pitcher who is going to be part of this team's future. He is right now currently the Red Sox #1 prospect, and he brought a lot of much-needed energy and electricity back to Fenway last night in his outing. If only he could have brought some hits, though, because the Red Sox offense still, once again, just could not get things going on offense, which just seems to be the story every single night here. But Tolle did pitch really well. He threw 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, which was just on a home run by Jazz Chisholm that just snuck right over the pesky pole. He gave up 1 walk, but he had 11 strikeouts in this game. 11. And he struck out the first 5 batters that he faced. 93 pitches he threw, with 63 of those going for strikes, and his ERA is a 1.5. He was pretty accurate, threw more strikes than balls, and this is a guy who was spot on in this outing. He was completely locked in and racking up strikeouts against one of the better lineups in the American League. So this was really impressive by Payton Tolle, and it's actually sinful that he could not get the win because his team could not hold it for him. So he ended up being promoted earlier in the day for his season debut to replace Sonny Gray. And it was pretty known earlier on in the week that Tolle was going to be the guy who was going to pitch in place of Sonny Gray, but it hadn't been confirmed until earlier in the day. And this was just such an impressive outing from him. Alex Cora said he was really good. The fastball played early, then he started mixing up his pitches. He was impressive. He was under control. The moment wasn't too big for him. Pounded the strike zone, which is the most important thing. One of the most electrifying moments from this outing that I really liked from Tolle was after loading the bases with nobody out in the 4th inning, he appeared to be in trouble, and I said, well, this could go south really fast, but nope, it didn't. Instead, he went strikeout, short, fly out, strikeout with no runs coming across. And he was so hyped as he was going back into the dugout, and rightfully so. I mean, that was a huge moment in the game. And I thought after he got out of that the Red Sox would go out and win that game, because how do you not gain that type of momentum after something like that? And he actually said, yeah, think about just being an energy giver. Don't be an energy vampire. So yeah, there's definitely some of that. So after spending the final month of last season with the Red Sox, he returned for the first time this year, and he did so with authority for sure. In the top of the 1st inning, Amed Rosario went down swinging on a 97.9 mile per hour heater. And then Aaron Judge completely swung through an 84.4 mile per hour curveball. And Ben Rice then whiffed at a 98.7 mile per hour fastball. So he came out firing right from the jump, and he just was not messing around. And it was great to see. That momentum then carried over into the 2nd inning when Tolle caught Giancarlo Stanton looking at a 98.6 mile per hour pitch. And then he struck out Randall Grichuk at 98.7 miles an hour. So every strikeout early on was so electrifying. And then Trent Grisham at last made contact, but he grounded out to first to end the second inning. So he was just rolling through this outing. He actually became the first Red Sox pitcher to open a start with 5 straight strikeouts against the Yankees since Casey Fossum on August 27th, 2002. So that's a fun fact for him. And especially because this was a guy who was left in AAA to start the season when his buddy Connolly Early started the season on the major league roster. So for him to go out there and prove the Red Sox wrong and say, hey, I should have been in the majors this whole time was really cool for him. But it also goes to show that the extra development in AAA this year definitely helped him a lot, because one of the biggest things that he had been talking about that he wanted to work on this season was his off-speed pitches. And big shout out to him for really mixing up his pitch mix in this game and showing off his secondary pitches outside of his fastball, because he did use the 4-seamer, but he also had a sinker and cutter that he was using. And then the second time through the order, he mixed in a little bit of his curveball and changeup. And that changeup was nasty. He was getting guys out with that pitch. And Payton Tolle last season, when he made his Red Sox debut, we couldn't really see that pitch arsenal as much because he didn't really have as much of that development of his secondary pitches. And it was really nice to see him be able to utilize a mix of all those pitches, because if he continues to be able to throw all of those pitches well, that's the recipe for success at the major league level. And hopefully he's going to continue to be super competitive for this team. So when I actually spoke with him in Worcester, right as the Woo Sox season was starting, he actually talked to me specifically about what he wants to work on. And he specifically mentioned really improving and honing in on that secondary stuff. And that was the biggest thing that a lot of people had eyed about him, was working on that. And he showed it off in this outing. So take a listen to what he had to say.
How's it going?
Good.
That's good. What's kind of your general mindset going into this season?
I mean, kind of something that's been stuck in my head has been get back. You know, we got our taste last year and just trying to do what we can to work on what we need to work on. You know, kick today in the butt. Don't worry about tomorrow. We just try to work on it all and be ready to go whenever my name's called again. Last year was a lot of looking up, thinking, man, that's gonna be really cool whenever I get there. And now that I've had that opportunity to be pitching at Fenway, pitching in a playoff game, like now it's just how do I get back? It's a little bit of, you know, you start thinking about it a little bit more and really just gotta tune that out, because there's not a whole lot of things. I can only control what I can control. There's a lot of things in this world, in this baseball, that you can't control. So it's whatever I can control today, yeah.
What are you kind of working on mechanically in terms of your pitches or your arsenal that you're hoping to kind of grow in for this season?
I mean, not a whole lot mechanically. With the arsenal, it's just trying to get those off speeds going. With curveball and changeup, I feel like they're in good spots. They're good pitches, and now it's just trying to locate them in zone. So I'm super excited about them. I think that they're going to be in a good place, especially whenever we start throwing more in game. So that's kind of the main focus right now, and then just continue to play off the fastball.
Is there any advice or anything like that you got while you were up there that you're kind of taking with you?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff with the pitching stuff that I talk with Bregman about. Justin Wilson had a couple of things, and Narvi and Wong both had things to talk about. But so just trying to think about that. But I think another thing is trying to be comfortable. I'm comfortable here, being able to be in big league spring training. I got comfortable with those guys too. So now it's just being able to be comfortable with myself every day, and so it's very exciting.
How would you describe the atmosphere of pitching at a place like Fenway Park?
I don't think there's anything like it. Those nights were incredible, and all the memories now that I'll have from last year, but also hopefully moving forward. I'm just super excited to get back, because there's nothing like it. It was one of the greatest feelings of my life.
So as you can see, Payton Tolle definitely is a hard worker, and he knew and was laser focused on exactly what he wanted to work on over the offseason. And the pitcher that we saw last night was a very different pitcher that pitched for the Red Sox late last season, because last year he relied a lot on power and had trouble with his secondary stuff, but he looked so comfortable throwing a lot of those pitches in this game last night. More polish and a lot of his stuff played. He said, yeah, I joked with one of our strength and conditioning coaches that I actually pitched today instead of just threw. I think the off-speed pitches, they came up big for me in some spots, but also with sinkers and cutters too. It helped to have wrinkles. And Carlos Narvaez could see the difference from last year too. He said electric. His fastball was in great shape. He was using all of them, the four-seamer, sinker, cutter, and second time through, we mixed a little bit of the curve and changeup. He was competing, gave us some energy. We love it. We need it right now. Unfortunately, we didn't get the win, but his stuff was elite. And it absolutely was for sure. And it makes you wonder how they're going to handle things when Sonny Gray comes back with the rotation, because if Tolle pitches again and he's stellar again, the Red Sox might want to keep him in the rotation. So the question will then become, all right, well, what happens then with Sonny Gray, who will end up back in the rotation, but then do they send somebody else down to AAA, even though this rotation feels set? So is this a temporary thing with Payton Tolle, or is he up here now to stay? Maybe they find a spot for him in the bullpen if the starting rotation fills out as it is. So we'll have to see how that all plays out with him, but he deserves a lot of credit for his outing because it totally was the highlight of this series. But coming up, there was a lot of negatives with this series, especially because the Red Sox got swept. With MLB season being back, you can feel the energy, fresh starts, big expectations, and that first crack of the bat. And what's better than being there in person with all the storylines you're paying attention to? The only problem is that getting tickets can feel like an absolute grind with long queues, surprise fees, and prices jumping at checkout. That's where Game Time is amazing, because the Game Time app actually gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Plus, it's simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see, so what you see is what you pay, period. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit a game. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. You will love Game Time. And also don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with me, as well as other listeners of this show. Tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonredsox.supercast.com to make sure that you subscribe. Well, the Red Sox just got swept by the Yankees at home. And I wish I could say I'm surprised, but unfortunately, with the way that this team has been playing so far this season, I am very much not surprised. And it was more of the same overall in this series for the Boston Red Sox, with the primary issue being the offense. Game 1 of the series, they got shut out 4-0, and they brought basically no offense in that game, just 4 hits overall as a team. They only had 4 strikeouts in that game, which is notable because the swings and misses have been a huge problem for this team, but they just could not get runners on base. They went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, stranding 7 on base, and they just weren't getting those timely hits, and that's the story of the season for this team. Connolly early pitched well in that game, 5 1/3 innings, giving up 5 hits and 3 earned runs with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. He threw 92 pitches in that game with 53 strikes to get his ERA to a 2.88. So he didn't pitch poorly, and the loss was not on him. The loss was on the fact that the offense could not get things going against Luis Gil, who going into that game was not pitching that well, but pitched a shutout to a Red Sox team that's been struggling massively offensively. And then it was more of the same in game 2 when the Red Sox lost 4-1 with Ranger Suarez pitching. Now, he didn't look overly sharp in this game. 4 2/3, giving up 5 hits and 4 earned runs with 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. So he could have been better. He threw 71 pitches with 47 of them going for strikes, and his ERA is now a 4.0. And one thing I found interesting was the fact that Alex Cora took him out of the game at 71 pitches. And Giancarlo Stanton was coming up, who had previously already gotten 2 hits against him earlier in the game. So Alex Cora definitely didn't want Suarez to face him again. But with the fact that the Red Sox haven't been getting length from their starters in general, I thought that maybe he would let Suarez stretch out a little bit, maybe just walk Stanton, just put him on, and then just let Suarez face the next guy and at least finish the inning, because pulling a pitcher after 71 pitches doesn't feel like the best move. If that pitcher was feeling good physically and they wanted to get more length from their starter. So Suarez himself actually looked surprised when he got pulled from this game. And I definitely was too. That's definitely something I would have done a little bit differently if I was in Alex Cora's shoes. But unfortunately, even though the bullpen was able to hold it after that between Zach Kelly and Eduardo Rivera, the offense could not do it. They just could only muster up 5 hits in this game. And it was unfortunate because this was a game that it felt like they could win. Even though Suarez didn't look overly sharp, they could have done more. Granted, they were facing Max Fried, and he's obviously always tough, but just try to manufacture runs and move guys over. Max Fried threw 8 innings, 100 pitches, because the Red Sox just had too many quick innings where they weren't swinging at good pitches and weren't making smart swing decisions and weren't taking pitches. And it was frustrating to watch because this is just how this offense has been all season long. But Eduardo Rivera definitely is somebody worth noting because he made an appearance in this game. He threw 3 1/3 innings, giving up 1 hit and no runs with 3 strikeouts. He threw 41 pitches with 26 of them going for strikes. And Eduardo Rivera is a guy I've been really excited about because he is a guy who has shown a lot of refinement in the younger, earlier levels of the Boston Red Sox organization. And he ended up making his major league debut with the Red Sox just a day after he was promoted to AAA, but he never got to pitch there. And the Red Sox needed somebody to pitch at Fenway Park on Wednesday. So he got the call. He's the Red Sox number 26 prospect, and he ended up getting there super early. He said, I was super early here. They told me to be here around noon, and I got here at 9:30. Like they said, I opened the ballpark. And then many hours later, the bullpen gate swung open, and he jogged onto the field and opened his career by punching out Jazz Chisholm Jr. to end the top of the 6th inning. He said, I felt super happy and also gave me confidence to be able to strike out such a good hitter that has been in the league for such a long time. So I feel proud of that moment. And then a double play off the bat of Austin Wells helped him face the minimum of 3 batters in the 7th inning. And in the 8th inning, he went through the meat of the Yankees order in that section, inducing Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, and Giancarlo Stanton all into ground outs. So you've got to feel proud of that. He said, obviously, I was a little bit nervous when I faced both of them with the careers that they've had in the league and all they've done, but I was able to settle to feel confident and to throw the ball through the zone and let them do what they were going to do, and I was able to get them out. So a stellar effort from him, which is a promising thing that came out of this series. And again, we talked about Payton Tolle and how good he was, but this is definitely another good storyline to come out of this series. And I really am rooting a lot for him. He definitely has a lot of good stuff. He'll spend a lot of time in AAA now, being able to really hone in on and refine his game. And I'll definitely speak with him the next time I'm in Worcester. But he's from Puerto Rico and was an 11th round selection of the Athletics in the 2021 draft. And after battling injuries and control for several years, he was released by the A's in 2024 and signed 3 weeks later by the Red Sox. So He's a 6'7" guy and says he weighs 275 pounds, even though he's listed at 237. He topped out at 97.5 miles per hour on his heater during his impressive debut. He threw 28 fastballs, 9 sliders, and 4 changeups, generating 8 whiffs in 17 swings. So he definitely showed off a little bit of an arsenal and showed off some swing and miss stuff, which are keys to being successful at the major league level. So I was really excited by what I saw from him. Had good stuff for sure. In 2 starts for AA Portland this season, he went 1-0 with a .9 earned run average, walking 3 and striking out 16 in 10 innings. So he was super excited about getting the call up, and I'm excited to see now what he does within the organization. So the Red Sox have definitely had some happy stories when it comes to guys making their debuts this season. Jack Anderson, Rivera, Tyler Uberstein, Tyler Samaniego. I mean, that's a lot of good young pitching talent that we can be excited about in the future, but we're not really excited about the right now because this team continues to struggle. And then even though Payton Tolle had a beauty of an outing in the final game of that series, the Red Sox still lost 4-2 because, again, they couldn't put together the offense. They only had 4 total hits in the game. And obviously, Yankees pitching is really good, and Cam Schlittler, who they were facing, is a really strong pitcher, but you've got to be able to support an outing like that, and it's absolutely sinful that Payton Tolle couldn't get the win in a game in which he had pitched really well. And one of the biggest issues was the bullpen management. Danny Colomb came in relief of Payton Tolle, and he just didn't have it. 0.2 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs that were charged to him, 0 walks, and 2 strikeouts. But he put guys on base, and it was clear that he just didn't have it. He had recorded a couple outs, but then wasn't able to finish off the inning. So then Alex Cora pulled him and brought in Greg Weisser. And Greg Weisser blew it. He threw 0.1 innings, giving up 2 hits with no runs, but he technically gave up the runs. They were just charged to Colomb because the runners had been on base when he was pitching. And then Weisser gave up a walk and a strikeout. So he threw 12 pitches with 9 strikes, but it was an absolute nightmare because he let those runs score that Alex Cora was trying to prevent from scoring. So the more that I've seen of Greg Weisser this year, the more I am convinced that he is not a high leverage arm. And Alex Cora should not have gone to him there. He should have gone to Garrett Whitlock maybe to get 1 out to finish off the 7th inning and then have him pitch the 8th inning. Why he didn't, I'm not sure. Alex Cora loves to throw Greg Weisser, and I'll never understand why, but he should not be going into games with runners on base. He should be going in for clean innings and not in high leverage. That's the way that he should be used. So unfortunately, he blew it for the Red Sox. And then in the next half inning, Cam Schlittler threw 3 or 4 pitches, barely anything, because Wilyer Abreu started the inning with a leadoff single, and then Trevor Story came up. And for a guy who's struggling at the plate, that would have been the perfect opportunity to bunt and advance the runner. But nope, first pitch swinging, double play, and then Marcelo Meyer first pitch swinging, and then popped out in the infield. So not exactly the ideal inning to get Cam Schlittler out of the game. So the bats just with a lot of non-competitive at-bats, and then the pitching not doing its thing to get it done. So a sweep, an absolutely messy sweep because the offense in general just couldn't get things going. So the biggest question is going to be, can the offense get moving? And coming up, I'm going to be previewing a very important upcoming weekend series for this Boston Red Sox team. Just a reminder that you can follow me on any social media at Gabby Maljanian on Twitter or at Gabby_Maljanian10 on Instagram. You can also follow the show on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. And be sure to check out the Everydayer Club if you want to take your listening up a notch, because you get all kinds of perks like ad-free versions of every episode. If you subscribe to the All Access tier, one-on-one texting directly with me to get all of your Red Sox related questions answered, as well as all access content you won't find anywhere else, like a lot of interviews with players and things like that. So make sure you subscribe today. Well, the Red Sox just got swept by the Yankees at home, and it was the most unideal thing ever. It's always the worst losing to the Yankees of all teams, but getting swept by the Yankees of all teams, just not a fun feeling. And this series is now something that the Red Sox need to put behind them. They need to keep moving forward. And people keep expressing how frustrating it is. The players are saying, we know this isn't us and we know we can do better. Okay. When is that going to be? Because that starts with this weekend. Yes, you've had a rough month of April, but you need to put that behind you and start focusing more on taking more competitive at-bats, moving guys over, and getting the offense going, because the pitching to me will figure things out overall as a whole. I do have my concerns about Brayan Bello, but Ranger Suarez, I think, will level out at some point. You've got to figure out the hitting, because it's really hard to win when you can't score runs. And this Red Sox team has not been able overall to score runs. So they are going into a series with an Orioles team that overall has been playing pretty decent, and they hope to win the series. Baltimore has gone 6-6 in home games and 12-13 overall on the season. Orioles hitters are batting a collective .230, which ranks 8th in the American League. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are 4-8 in road games and 9-16 overall. The Red Sox have gone 6-3 in games when they did not give up a home run, which is also something notable. And this series is notable because it's the first time these teams square off this season. So this is going to be a very crucial series, because I talked about earlier on in the season, since the division in general isn't playing that well, you've got to be able to beat up on those divisional opponents. And they didn't do that against the Yankees last time. So now they've got to do it against the Orioles. And in terms of key players to watch on this Orioles team, Taylor Ward has a home run, 18 walks, and 11 RBIs while hitting .283 this year. Jeremiah Jackson is 12 for 38 with a double, 4 home runs, and 13 RBIs over the past 10 games. So those two players in particular, the Red Sox are going to have to look out for, because those guys may be in the mindset of, all right, we want to dominate this Red Sox team. And if those guys give you trouble and they're on a hot streak and there's runners on base, may want to consider not pitching to them, depending on which pitcher is in the game. Wilyer Abreu has 4 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, and 11 RBIs right now for the Red Sox. And Wilson Contreras is 9 for 36 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs over the last 10 games. So those two have primarily been the bulk of the Red Sox offense. So they are going to have to step up, but other players are going to have to step up as well in terms of productivity, because the Red Sox can't rely on 2 guys being the entirety of their offense. They just need to get key bats going, particularly Roman Anthony, who hopefully will return from his back tightness to provide a spark. The Red Sox are taking that day to day right now, but ideally he'd be back in the lineup to help contribute. And he does need to play a little bit better in terms of his offense. And then they also need other bats. Trevor Story, it'd be nice if he decided to come alive. Jarren Duran as well. Those are pinpointed bats that I'm looking at of guys who I feel like need to do more. Cedar Rafaela has been having a steady, good season at the plate so far for the Red Sox. Can he keep that up? Connor Wong is a guy who surprisingly has been hitting really well for this team. So those are all big things to keep in mind going into this series. Brayan Bello needs to provide quality innings to save a bullpen that's absolutely fatigued. He is starting in tonight's game, the first game of the series, and he needs to be able to provide length, because that's been one of the biggest issues with the starting pitching so far, is these guys have not been able to pitch deep into games, and that's something that I am looking at and saying needs to be better. So the reality is Brayan Bello needs to provide length. They just need the rotation in general to be better. They face a tough challenge tonight against Brandon Young, who has a 0.0 ERA to start the season. So he's been off to a really good start. And with the way that the Red Sox offense has been struggling, I don't have a lot of confidence in them being able to challenge him. If they're going to challenge him, they're going to need to be patient and drive up pitch counts, because they can't rely on just hitting home runs. They don't have a lot of home run heavy hitters in this lineup, really any at all. So you can't rely on that big bat to just produce one swing and put your team on top. This is a Red Sox team that needs to play small ball and needs to work pitch counts and needs to try to hit for contact and find ways to get on base. That is how they will be a pitcher like that. Garrett Crochet and Connolly Early also pitching in the series. Garrett Crochet also needs to be a lot better. His last couple starts have been a struggle, and he said that he knows what he's doing wrong and that he knows what he needs to adjust. So hopefully he will adjust it, because this team can't afford to have their ace continue to struggle. And if he struggles again this weekend, then there needs to be conversation of, is he even healthy? Because there is a possibility that he's hurt with what's going on here. So this is a big outing for him. And then Connolly early, who is coming off of a good start last time. He's been pretty good overall. Can he beat Kyle Bradish, who's off to a 3.96 earned run average on the season? So biggest keys is that the Red Sox need to exploit the Orioles bullpen because they are currently without closer Ryan Helsley. So the Red Sox should try to focus on building a lead early or attacking the middle relief guys in the late innings on this Orioles team. So that's a big key to this game. The starters need to be able to provide innings, and the offense, I mean, we just need guys to wake up. And if the offense doesn't wake up, they could be in a lot of trouble in this series again. So do I have a lot of confidence? No, but hopefully they can prove me wrong and turn things around. So we'll have to see how things play out. But thanks so much, as always, for tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every single day. Despite the fact that this team has just been miserable to watch as of late, I will try my best to continue to make it fun. So make sure you continue to tune in, subscribe, follow on any podcast platforms that you don't miss a single episode. Plus, if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Red Sox ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonredsox.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, I send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, for your second listen, go check out Locked On MLB. Thanks so much as always. Keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.